From here, I have a perfect view of the stars. I look up at the clear night sky through the mouth of the tunnel. I feel bad for all the people way down on the underworld.
Can they even see the stars from there?
I've never been to the underworld, so I have no idea. I can't imagine falling asleep without him. Comfortable and safe, I close my eyes and quickly slip off to dreamland. I wake up to trouble, or at least a threat. I'm sure it's only morning as I peer out the burrow's entrance, but the sky is already dark and foreboding. My attention moves from the ominous rain clouds above to the trees outside my den, their branches shaking in the strong breeze.
I can't believe that girl from the cafe was right!
I climb up the tunnel and out into the open, sniffing the air. It just tells me what I already know. A storm is coming, and fast. But also, another scent plays on my nose, one so faint that I almost brush it off before taking another smell. Surely I'm wrong. There's no way that... Lowering my snout to the ground, I investigate the area and decide that I'm right. I change into my human form and look around.
Someone's been here.
Yes, someone's definitely been here, but this scent isn't a human's. It's vaguely familiar, but at the same time, not like anything I recognize.
And it definitely wasn't here when I went to sleep.
They must have come here in the night and stopped right outside my den.
Were they watching me sleep? Oh crap!
As a fox, I dive back into my hole to make sure everything is still there. My heart pounds in my chest, but nothing appears to be missing. I also checked the spot where I buried my stash from last night, but that hasn't been disturbed either. I breathe a sigh of relief. If any of my stuff had been stolen, I'd be so mad. But that still doesn't answer the question of what they did want, and that's even more concerning. I'm a pretty light sleeper, and usually the slightest sound or motion will wake me up. So if someone was able to sneak up on me, even I have to be impressed. Impressed and a little bit worried. I've got a more pressing issue right now, though, and I stare up at the sky in disappointment.
I hate the rain.
I would have found a different place to make my nest and have my supplies if I'd known this would happen. Instead, both burrows will probably just be piles of mud by the end of today.
I should have found a place with a roof after all.
I fill my pockets with my most important possessions and some of the food I grabbed last night. Everything else, I wrap as tightly in the plastic bags as I can and bury them in my den. Hopefully, I can find somewhere fast and then move everything else over before it gets ruined. An abandoned house would be perfect, or some other place where I'd be able to hide. I'm just about to get going when a loud flapping sound overhead catches my attention. I expected it to be a bird, but instead, it's yet another bat. This one is even bigger than the one I saw last night. Its wings are way longer and noisier. I can even hear it squeaking something as it flies past. Some people say bats and foxes are similar. I don't see it. I watch it fly around for a little while before it takes off towards the city.
Maybe it knows somewhere to stay. Guess I'll follow it for now.
A couple times it disappears between these trees or just too far ahead, but I always manage to catch up. Eventually, we're out of the woods and back into civilization, where a car whizzes right past me. There's a sidewalk here, and other people are walking around. Most of them look up to the sky nervously, though, and everyone seems to be in a hurry.
Guess I'm not the only one looking to get away from the rain.
I'm just about to get I'm just about to get going when a loud flapping sound overhead catches my attention. I expect it to be a bird, but instead it's yet another bat. More people seem to be going in the direction I was headed than anywhere else, so I stick to that. By now, my winged guide is almost out of sight again, just a little black speck in the sky flying into the distance. Farther up this road, there's a slope that leads to a big, fancy-looking building. It doesn't look like a shop or a restaurant, at least not one that I've ever seen, but there's so many people going in and out that it has to be open to the public. That's good enough for me. It'll give me somewhere dry to spend my time, and maybe I can learn something useful. Plus, places like this usually have plenty of valuables inside. If I'm lucky, I might be able to find something to fund in my next few days. After all, the bigger the target, the less likely they are to notice something's missing. The sturdy oak door isn't as heavy as it looks, a firm push being enough to heave it open. Gingerly stepping inside and out of the rain, I'm greeted by books. Lots of books. Books on shelves, books on tables, books on the floor, books everywhere. The place even smells of musty old paper. The dozen or so people inside are mostly leafing through pages in the aisles. The odd silence about the building is striking, given how many are around. Doesn't look like a shop, so I assume this must be a library. I've heard of them, but I've never been in one. No point, since I can't read and all. But it's warm and cozy and very dry, so it'll do just fine. There's a desk near the entrance with a computer on it that I assume would be where I check in. It's unattended, which is good for me. I take a seat in an empty chair nearby and sit back just to observe for a bit. There are plenty of people, but it's not too busy. Lots of empty, unwatched spaces. Most folks seem to be here alone, or in small groups that keep to themselves. There's not much conversation going on, and what there is all whispered. Nobody gives me a second glance, which is a good sign. It means I'm probably not breaking any rules just by being here. Behind the desk, there's a hallway leading deeper into the building, and I peek around the corner to see what's back there. All I can see are some shut doors at the very back, a staircase. After glancing around to make sure no one's watching, I sneak down the hall and try a couple of the doors. All of them are locked. I could probably pick them if I wanted to. No sense trying to do that now though. Is there anything more valuable around? An antique clock or vase would be perfect. Sadly, it's almost all books. Books and small trinkets that look pretty worthless, not even worth the trouble of stealing. Well, at least it's got a roof. I do spot a couple of promising items like a set of old coins and memorize their locations. I wander back to the main area where I came in. Outside it hasn't started raining yet, but it's only a matter of time. The wind is loud and gusty, and even opening the door is enough to make me shiver. If nothing else, I could probably wait out the rain here. Ugh, my poor abandoned snacks back in the den. What a waste. I can't do anything about it now, though. I should keep looking around. I move slowly through the area, never going beyond what seems to be the public area. I pretend to inspect a few books, taking them off the shelves and flipping through the pages, but I'm actually mapping out the place in my head. Doors, windows, potential places to hide, things like that. Most of the time, this kind of info is unnecessary. It's been at least a few decades since I've had to make a dramatic escape from anywhere. At this point, plotting an escape route is just a habit. Overall, I like what I'm seeing. Even with the locked doors and off-limits hallways, there are a lot of nooks and crannies that would make good hiding spots, especially as a fox. From the thick dust that coats a lot of these areas, you can tell they don't get a whole lot of visitors. If I'm careful, I might be able to go a whole week or more without being noticed. As long as I can get in and out of the building easily, that is. And with the huge windows that line the back wall, that seems easy enough too. I weave around a couple shelves that are taller than I am, heading for the far back corner. I peer around the corner of the last aisle just to make sure I'm alone. But I'm not. At a small table by the window sits a woman with a small book in her hand, resting against her fingers. She's perfectly still, but mouths the words on the page as she reads, like she's tasting them instead of just seeing them. Her expression has the distant look of someone way off in their own world, far away from this one. She looks so at peace that I think she must belong in that other world. She's beautiful and elegant in the same way as a painting, with the light from the window shining on her like a display. I duck back behind the bookshelf, pressing one hand to my racing heart. My other bumps against one of those books on the shelf, and it falls with a dusty thump. Cursing my clumsiness, I silently back away, in case she decides to investigate. But she doesn't leave her chair.
I suppose it's nothing.
She turns and gazes out the open window. At what? I don't know. A moment later, she returns to her book and leaves this world again. I stay hidden, my face still burning a little bit. Yes, I think this will be the perfect place to spend some time. Suddenly, there's a much louder boom than the one I caused, as thunder rumbles outside. A few people around the library startle at the sound and look around. Sighing, the girl in the chair pulls the window beside her closed, the first drops of rain falling not a minute later. I'll investigate the windows later. Right now, I don't want to bother her. So I head back to one of the plush chairs on the other side of the library and take a seat. I could be here a while, depending on how long the rain lasts, so I may as well get comfy. I find a few books that have more pictures than words and curl up in one of the soft chairs to flip through them. There aren't as many of those ones, and I go through the stack pretty fast. It takes long enough for the rain to start, though. The longer I read, the louder the pounding of the rain and the howling of the wind become. Guess it's not gonna let up anytime soon. I can't complain though. This library is pretty cozy by my usual standards. It's warm, it's safe, and nobody tells me to go away. I even have snacks. More than once, I get up and walk around the library again, even though I've got most of it memorized by now. I take note of things like a child stuffed toy that's lying on the floor in one section, or the thin blanket that's stuffed between a bookshelf and the wall. On my third or fourth trip around, I finally found something I've been looking for. In one of the far corners, totally opposite from where I saw the reading girl earlier, there's a single chair and a small table. On the wall nearby is a portrait. The painting itself is of a girl with light brown hair, but I barely pay any attention to that. What I'm interested in is the frame. It's lovely. It looks like it might be made out of gold. It certainly shines like it. It's carved intricately into the shape of waves flowing up and down. It's gotta be worth something. I pretend to not pay much attention to it as I make my way back to my table. There are far too many other people around for me to be able to try and sneak it out. It's too big to fit under my jacket without being obvious. That just means I'll have to come back some other time, maybe once the place is closed. The hours pass by and the storm continues. I'm kind of disappointed about losing a whole day, especially so soon after arriving, but it's not like I'm in any sort of hurry. I pat one of my pockets, feeling the familiar and reassuring weight of the paper scroll that's tucked away there. That scroll is the only thing close to a purpose that I have, and it's not particularly urgent, or at least I don't have any way to deal with it faster. I spend a long time reading. It's almost afternoon when I go and check the windows again, but the rough weather outside continues. At this rate, I'll be sleeping in a puddle of muddle tonight. Unless... A quick check shows that a lot of the other library patrons have left. It's not empty, but it's not nearly as full as earlier. Yes, some of them decided it was worth braving the rain. Looking as nonchalant as I can, I get up from my seat and pretend to browse again, slowly moving through the shelves. The reading girl is gone now, although she's not what I was looking for. Instead, I picked up the dropped toy and blanket that I spotted earlier, and then head to one of the out-of-the-way hiding spots I picked up before. It's on the floor, between a shelf and the wall, but it's a bit of carpet to make it softer. Even better, it's between two corner shelves, meaning that it's practically out of sight if you're not looking for it. I wriggle my way between the furniture and lie down, using the toy as the pillow and draping the blanket over me. I toss and turn a few times before finally settling down.
Yep, not bad at all.
Even though I haven't done much today, I'm always down to take a nap. I could pass a few hours by sleeping, wake up once it's dark, and then grab that picture framed and be on my way. I'll have to rebuild my den once I get back, but that's a problem for future me. I yawn, staring up at the ceiling until my eyes get heavy.
Maybe today